Think for a moment, maybe you're watching TV and you see news about a really big storm hitting somewhere.
Or maybe a big earthquake.
Right. And it makes you think, well, what happens next, after the storm passes or the shaking stops?
Absolutely. When something like that happens, the immediate needs are huge. People need help, fast. And it has to be organized.
Okay, so let's dive into that. Today we're going to talk about the main group in the U.S. that helps out in these situations. It's called FEMA.
That's right.
We'll figure out what FEMA is and also learn some really useful English words about these kinds of events. So you'll learn about FEMA and get some new vocabulary.
Sounds like a good plan. Understanding how things work and the words people use helps everyone understand how communities start to, get back on their feet.
So we hear the term natural disaster a lot with FEMA. Let's start there. What exactly is a natural disaster, in simple terms?
Well, a natural disaster is basically a really bad event. Something caused by nature, not people, that causes a lot of damage or loss.
Okay, like what?
Like hurricanes, with the strong winds and floods, or earthquakes where buildings might fall down, big fires too, or even tsunamis.
Right, really serious stuff. And that's where FEMA comes in. So FEMA, it's an acronym. What do the letters actually stand for?
Okay, FEMA stands for the Federal Emergency Management Agency.
Federal Emergency Management Agency. That sounds important.
It is, and actually each word tells us something about what it does. We can break it down if you like.
Yeah, let's do that. Starting with federal, what does that tell us?
Federal means it's part of the United States government, the national government.
Ah, okay. So not just for one city or state, but the whole country.
Exactly. It operates across all the states. It has national resources, national authority.
Got it. Federal, part of the U.S. government, nationwide. Okay, next word. Emergency. What does that mean here?
An emergency is, well, it's a sudden situation. Something serious, often dangerous, that needs action right away.
Like a big storm hitting land.
Yeah, or maybe a building collapsing suddenly. Those are emergencies. You need to act fast.
Makes sense. Sudden, serious, needs immediate action. Then we have management. What's the management part?
Management is about organizing things, planning, directing, basically figuring out how to deal with the situation.
So managing the response.
Right. Managing the help, making sure resources like people and supplies get to where they need to go efficiently. It's about coordinating the whole effort.
Okay. Organizing and directing the help. And the last word is agency. What does that mean?
An agency is basically a specific department or group within a bigger organization, usually the government.
Like a special team.
Sort of, yeah. It's the part of the government that has a particular job. FEMA is the agency specifically responsible for managing these emergencies.
Okay, let me see if I've got this. Federal, part of the U.S. government. Emergency, sudden danger, management, organizing the help. Agency, the specific group doing it.
You got it. So the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, is the U.S. government group that organizes and gives help when these big, dangerous events happen anywhere in the country.
Perfect. Okay, now that we know what FEMA is, let's talk about some words we often hear around disasters and FEMA's work. Learning these words will really help understand the news, right?
Definitely. These words pop up all the time. Knowing them makes things much clearer.
Great, let's start with the word disaster. We've said it a few times, but let's define it clearly.
Sure. So, disaster. It's pronounced disaster.
Disaster.
Right. A disaster is a sudden, awful event. Think big floods, major earthquakes, huge fires, things that cause a lot of damage and suffering.
Okay, like an example sentence.
How about? The hurricane was a terrible disaster for the coastal towns.
Disaster. Disaster. A very bad event causing lots of harm. Okay, what's another key word?
Next is emergency. We talked about it in FEMA's name. Pronounced I-emergency.
I-emergency.
Yep. And an emergency is that serious, unexpected situation. Often dangerous, needs immediate action.
Like the fire alarm example you mentioned.
Exactly. When the alarm went off, everyone knew it was an emergency. Sudden, serious need to act now.
Emergency. I-emergency. Got it. What's next?
Okay, next word. Aid. It's a short one, pronounced just like the letter A, then D. Aid.
Aid.
Aid, right. Aid is simply help. Help given to people who need it, especially after a disaster.
So, like food or money.
Yeah, exactly. For example, FEMA provides aid, like food and water, to families after a flood. Aid.
Aid. Aid. Help for people in need. Clear. What else?
Another common word is relief, pronounced relief.
Relief.
Relief is similar to aid, but it often emphasizes comfort and reducing suffering. It's the help that makes people feel a bit better or safer in a tough time.
Ah, okay, so not just things, but maybe comfort too.
Yes, think about supplies that bring comfort. Example, volunteers brought relief supplies like blankets and warm drinks to the storm victims. Relief.
Relief. Help and comfort for suffering people. I see the difference. Okay, one more key word for now.
Last one for this set is shelter, pronounced sheller.
Shelter.
A shelter is a safe place, usually temporary. It's where people can go for protection when they can't stay in their own homes, maybe because of damage from a disaster.
Like a school gym opened up for people.
Exactly. The town opened a shelter at the high school for families who lost their homes in the fire. Shelter. Safe place to stay. Okay, these are really important words. Disaster, emergency, aid, relief, shelter. Now, knowing what FEMA stands for in these words, what does FEMA actually do on the ground when a disaster hits? Well, FEMA does a lot, but the main focus is immediate help and then helping with a longer recovery.
Okay, immediate help first. What does that look like?
Right after a disaster, FEMA works to make sure people have the basics. Things like food, clean water, and shelter, those essential needs.
So if a huge hurricane hits, like you said, and people's homes are flooded or damaged, FEMA helps set up places for them to go.
That's a big part of it, yes. They work with the local government, states, and other groups like the Red Cross to open temporary shelters.
Okay, that makes sense. What else?
Beyond the absolute basics, FEMA also helps people find temporary housing. If your home is gone or you can't live in it, they help find somewhere else to stay for a while.
Like hotels or rentals?
Could be, yeah. Or other kinds of temporary places. It's crucial help when you've suddenly got nowhere to live.
That's huge. Okay, so that's the immediate stuff and temporary housing. What about rebuilding? Does FEMA help with that too?
Yes, that's the longer term part. FEMA provides financial aid, money, to help people and whole communities rebuild homes, fix roads, things like that.
Ah, so they give grants or assistance.
Exactly. That financial help is really important for recovery. It helps people start over and towns rebuild what was damaged.
So it's not just about the first few days. FEMA stays involved to help with the long road to recovery.
That's right. Immediate response and long-term recovery support.
Can you give us a really simple example, like paint a picture for us?
Sure. Let's say a big wildfire forces lots of people to leave their homes quickly. Evacuate. In that situation, FEMA would likely work with the local fire department and officials to set up shelters. Safe places for those evacuated people to sleep, get food, and find out what's going on.
Got it. Shelters for wildfire evacuees. What about, say, a flood? Maybe people can't get food or clean water.
Okay, good example. After a flood, if supplies are cut off, FEMA would help coordinate getting aid in. Things like bottled water, maybe ready-to-eat meals.
How do they get it there?
They use their own trucks and resources, but also work with charities and sometimes the military to distribute those essential supplies right into the affected areas, getting that aid to the people who need it.
So in those really tough first days and weeks, FEMA is kind of a lifeline, providing basic needs and then support for rebuilding later.
That's a good way to put it. A central coordinator for help and recovery. It's a really vital agency for the country's ability to handle these natural disasters.
Looking ahead, sadly, it feels like these kinds of events, natural disasters, aren't going away. What does the future look like for FEMA?
Well, unfortunately, you're right. Based on weather patterns, climate change discussions, geological activity, disasters are likely to keep happening.
Yeah.
So FEMA's job isn't going away either. Their role in preparing communities before disasters, responding during them, and helping recover after them, it's going to remain absolutely essential. It's just an ongoing need for the country's safety.
It is reassuring, though, knowing that there's an organization like FEMA ready to step in when these really difficult things happen.
It is, and knowing about it, knowing what resources might be available is actually part of being prepared as a community or even as an individual.
Right. So let's wrap up our deep dive for today. We looked closely at FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency.
We broke down the name, Federal Emergency Management Agency, to see it's the U.S. government group handling emergencies nationwide.
And we learned some really important English words, too. Let's quickly recap them.
Good idea. We covered disaster, disaster,
A very bad event.
emergency, I am urgency,
Sudden danger needing action.
aid,
Help for those in need.
relief,
Relief.
help and comfort for suffering.
Shelter. A shelter.
a safe place to stay. We got the pronunciations and examples, too.
Exactly.
Now, something to think about after listening. What other words do you know, or maybe hear, that are related to natural disasters? It's interesting vocabulary.
That's a great point. The more of this language you understand, the better you can follow the news and understand what's happening when these events occur.
Definitely. It's always good to learn, isn't it? And just be aware of how people help each other and how we can help ourselves when tough times hit. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Thanks for joining today's chat on Your Daily English Spark. If you enjoyed this session and want to keep improving your English, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. What topic would you like us to cover next? Let me know in the comments. And don't miss our next episode, where we'll dive into mastering small talk. See you next time.